What is going on, and welcome to another episode of the Urban Pitch Podcast, the beautiful game of life, part of the Believe Network. I'm Ramsey Abushala, editor of urbanpitch.com. We got the co-executive directors of Vibes in the building, Bridget Flores, Julia Monterosa. It's a special episode today.
It is, very much indeed.
We're excited. This is long overdue.
Long time in the making.
Yeah.
It's been a long time.
It
We've been
was
trying to
meant
get
to
these guys. We've been moving mountains trying to get them over here.
Right.
But we got the 5ASIDE podcast in the building. We're still working on budget.
We're working on the soundboard.
Soundboard. We're still trying to get that approved. It's going up the chain.
It's in the works.
HR says no all the time.
I know. Yeah, we just gotta keep persisting, you know. But Sebastian, Josh, Kendrick, Elisha, and Gabe in the building. What's going on, y'all?
Feeling good, bro. Just been enjoying LA.
Y'all out here, LA living.
Listen, come on, love the poem. You got my UCLA on my
There you
auntie
go.
ring. Actually, half my family's from California.
Okay.
Yeah, actually Bakersfield though, so it's obviously not LA, but I got family out here. So
Okay,
yeah,
you're like Ramsey when he says he's from LA, but he's from the
Valley,
Valley.
LA.
45 minutes from
I'm
LA.
catching shots she sent me screenshots of like I'm not I represent who I represent, you know what I'm saying? I'm not trying to say I'm one thing over the other. I know who I am. So that's all I'm gonna say. And I'm bringing leave it at that. No, I mean they come at me all the time just because I'm like I'm from over the hill. That's the only, you know what I mean? So yeah.
No, it's been good, bro.
Yeah.
We're definitely loving LA.
Yeah, I mean the East Coast coming over. What how's it been since you guys pulled up, and just like what are the vibes been like? Because you guys have been busy. I mean,
really busy.
I'll say it's interesting because we've all been to LA or like on this side of the country just at different times in our lives, but this is the first time we've all come together.
Yeah,
and it's weird because we haven't had really any time to just settle in and be still. Mm-hmm. It's been, even when we're at our Airbnb, it's just been going. And LA itself is so, calm and peaceful, at least relatively, in relation to the cities we come from.
Yeah.
New York and DC and things like that. So it's been an interesting experience, but in a good way because we're all here together, doing something we love. So
that's a fact. It's hard to conceptualize that it could be this warm year round.
Yeah,
right.
This warmth is nice though because it's pretty dry here and it cools down at night. We were just in Atlanta. It was crazy hot, super humid, didn't cool down. Miami the same thing, but LA's heat I'm actually enjoying. Yeah, it's pretty good.
Yeah,
y'all like LA?
I mean, we love it. I mean,
Can't complain.
Yeah.
When it's this hot, it does get annoying, but it's a good thing we have, like I have a pool, people come over, so it's a vibe.
Everybody flex.
You gotta make it work, you know what I'm saying?
We got cabanas and all that. Yeah.
Bottle service.
Okay,
don't get Bridget around bottle service. We know they got the 6-figure checks when Bridget comes around.
Not me.
It's funny.
Everybody who lives here has been saying it's mad hot.
I
actually don't think it's hot. Yeah,
this is not hot. It's
no,
been
I
90
think
degrees in New York.
Yeah.
Even the fact that I could wear a light jacket.
Yeah.
We can't do that over there.
Nah, facts.
It is LA hot is a little bit different than because we don't have the humidity, right?
Yeah,
it's even a little bit humid right now, a little bit, but it's just different. And then you go to different parts of LA too. I'm from the Valley, so the Valley gets it's 5 to 10 degrees hotter than any other given spot. So
in LA.
No, than other parts of LA.
No, I feel like in LA, just in general, we just like to be dramatic. It gets too hot, it gets too cold, it's
it
raining
drops under
too
60.
much.
People are rocking, the
showing
the
up in
triple
rain
goose,
boots.
all this stuff. So, yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah, it really be like that.
When's the last time y'all was at the East Coast?
Sheesh.
I was out in Florida.
That don't count.
That's not the East
Yeah,
Coast.
but I haven't been northeast. I haven't been northeast. I went to DC on a school trip.
Seb loves DC.
Dang.
So we did the American history type tour. But besides that, I haven't been out there.
I think 2015, my brother graduated from Connecticut.
You overcame some flight anxiety.
Yeah, so I hate flying.
Flying.
So my dad, he Euro MVP. He here, I never drank before my dad. Here come, buy me 2 beers, 2 shots, and we chugged them. And we got on that flight. Woke up, and I'm like, hey, I'm here.
Whatever it takes.
When my brother graduated, we went all the way to New York because we have family in White Plains. And we drove his car from New York back to LA.
Oh, how was that?
BetOnline is your #1 source for all your betting needs. Get the latest odds, lines, and matchups reports for baseball, boxing, golfing, and more. BetOnline continues to be the fastest and easiest way to place your wagers, including live betting and your favorite casino and card games, available to play right from your phone. Head to the website or use your mobile device to sign up today and get in on the action. Remember to use promo code BELIEVE, that's BLEAV, for your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. BetOnline, where the game starts.
From New York to LA?
Yeah.
That's what, like 40?
Coast to coast?
Coast to coast. We drove down.
Wow.
How many? Yeah, like.
It was like, I think about a week because we stopped. His ex-girlfriend used to live in Ohio. Shout out Megan. No, she used to live in Ohio. Then we stopped in Vegas for a day.
Oh, so y'all made it like a trip.
Yeah,
It wasn't, you
yeah.
didn't just like, all right,
Go straight
okay,
to
I got you.
Yeah, we were driving like about 14-hour days some days. Like, it was my dad, my brother, and me. So
That's a
we
shift.
were changing. Yeah, but it was fun. It was fun.
Yeah.
Coast
That's
to coast.
a road trip.
That's a
road
lifelong
trip.
memory.
It puts into perspective how big this country is.
Right.
Like, yo,
And
it's
how
like
much
a continent.
you can do.
Yeah.
Facts.
Yeah.
In
The last
between.
time I was in the East Coast, I went to New York for the first time, I think 2018.
Okay.
Yeah, I had the time of my life.
What'd you get into?
We flew out for my job that I had at the time.
Okay.
We went to Boston, and then from Boston, me and my friends took a bus to New York.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
And what did we do? I don't even know. Like, we were just
Party.
outside
Yeah.
Outside.
the whole time.
Listen,
Outside activities.
Yeah.
New York is the most fun outside city, like objectively.
It was dope.
Like, for
it was
sure.
dope.
Yeah.
And New York is so big. I remember we had a friend that was out there, and we had other coworkers who were out there too visiting. They were taking advantage of the fact that we were in the East Coast.
Yeah.
And she was like, "You're not gonna being in New York, like you hardly ever bump into people you know, blah blah blah." And then I ended up bumping into a friend that I met in LA. That he was from New York. He was in New York, and we saw each other. We hung out for a bit. And then I think we went to some like, I can't remember the city, but it was a whole vibe. It was like Caribbean night at some like underground. Like I just heard like like Afrobeat music, and I was like, what is going on? And at that time we were going to like foreigners parties out here. Foreigner is some guy who does like a lot of like Caribbean Afrobeat parties in LA. And I was like, that sounds so familiar. And I was like, hey guys, we need to follow that sound because that's the vibe. And then we pulled up, and it was like a whole vibe with like people dancing. And it just like, it was super, super dope. It was like the kind of thing you don't see like, you know,
Sounds like Bridget activities. Right
Yeah.
just follow.
It sounds
follow
like
the beat,
Brooklyn, no?
like-
It sounds like
It
Brooklyn?
was definitely in Brooklyn, yeah.
Yeah, Brooklyn's a spot for
It was
sure.
sick. Yeah.
For sure.
That's what's up.
Definitely trying to go back. Maybe we could do a trip and go see.
Say
you
the
guys.
word.
No,
We'll host y'all.
we've been trying to speak East Coast trip into existence.
Yeah.
Nah,
Yeah.
come through.
Yeah.
We'll show y'all a great time. Definitely.
Jamaica first, maybe.
Oh well, yeah. So that was the thing. Yeah, we
That's
had Javane Brown, Vancouver Whitecaps
tough.
and Jamaican national team, and he said like he was talking about the KFC in Jamaica. That was his first stop.
Yeah,
and he said it's different.
In the airport,
for
he
sure,
said.
for sure.
Yeah,
Jamaican
yeah.
KFC. Oh, my Jamaican friends told me the KFC there is mad. It's different.
Have y'all been to Jamaica before?
No, but
I was just there in January. Incredible.
really.
Yeah, it was
Did you have the
beautiful.
KFC out there?
I didn't know this was a thing. I had chicken, but I didn't have that chicken.
Supposedly,
thing.
Trinidad KFC better.
Oh, that's
Ooh.
they always
Let's talk about it.
Supposedly, Ghana KFC the best.
Yes.
Hey,
We want
man.
KFC World Tour, I
For
guess.
sure.
Hey, a little KFC challenge.
Yeah, right.
Nah, for sure.
I'm down.
Fly us
Global,
out.
yeah.
Just fly us out.
But let's talk about 5ASIDE because
Yeah.
how did that all happen? Because you guys all have your own thing going on in outside. Sebastian, you got the T-shirts, the clothing brand. The wavy footy has been going on. Elisha, you've been doing your thing. Like how did you guys all get together and what was the genesis of?
Yeah,
of
I'll give a quick origin story. I'll try to make it like within a minute. So essentially, I met Josh during a summer engineering program in 2016 at Cornell. We linked up there, bonded over soccer, stayed in touch, started Wavy Footy, which was all about, growing soccer within the U.S. through the lens of Black culture in summer 2018. From there, we grew within that. As that got bigger, we then linked up with Kendrick, who's his boy from back home. So it was the three of us. And then at that point, we had a FIFA launch party for FIFA 22 in fall of 2021. So we wanted to really tie in the New York soccer culture, bring people in the industry to come through. So we invited Elisha Edouard, our good boy over here, and met him for the first time. And also Sebastian, who had we connected with from him making all his vintage style T-shirts. From there, we all just hit it off. The five of us were in the same place for the first time, stayed in touch. And then I remember I went to a cafe with you, Seb, in probably September of last year. Then we met with Elisha on the weekend, made a group chat, recorded within a week, and that's how it's been.
Yeah, no, shout out to Seb also. I'll say, I don't know if it was 2020, when we had a Fashion
The
Friday.
Fashion Friday was probably
feature.
2020, yeah.
Yeah, featuring his different T-shirts that he made and shouting out DC and all that. So no, it's good to see the trio come together. It's kind of what makes us have a big network to reach out to. We also have big exposure and a lot of people to impact.
Yeah, because the soccer world is big, but it's also small too.
Yeah.
So
For
like,
sure. The U.S.,
yeah,
Very
like
small.
you know somebody who knows somebody who knows somebody, and then so I think that's cool that you guys all came together like that.
I feel like people are often surprised by like the story because it's not like, oh, we knew each other for years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It happened quick and it worked. So
It seems like just by y'all's dynamic on the podcast, it seems like you guys have known each
Yeah.
other.
Some of us have, but yeah.
Right.
It looks very natural. It looks like very organic. Like you guys have been locked in
appreciate
for a
that.
while.
Thank you.
Shout out to you guys for
And your
that.
perspective is crazy, man. Like we talk about it all the time. Like, hey, did you see the clip today on Instagram? Like, big fans.
Yeah.
Thank
The way you
bro.
guys did the questions. Who knows? Yeah, the trivia episode.
All credit to Selby. That was
Hey, there
crazy.
you go.
No, who did all this research? I'm kidding me.
Nah.
We have tried to get Julio to do research.
Okay.
Never. Comes in 10 minutes before. He's like,
Yeah.
Dude, it's crazy. Like I'll put together a whole production call like 3 days before we do an interview with somebody. Going, like,
Look at his face. Look at his face.
That's
He's
me.
like-
I put a topic track. Oh,
Bro,
that's it.
listen.
This Champions League, you're up, and we just be talking.
What
bro.
team you play for again?
and then Julio goes,
Like, you can't just y'all gonna be friends.
That's definitely me. That's
I
definitely
go,
me.
yo, Julio, you got anything you want to bring up? No, I think that's good, man.
Yeah,
Like I just
bro,
know
definitely.
everything like went one ear out the other. All right, cool. All right, we'll figure it out.
we just hear him trying to like go from like work to a bar.
There's car door opening and shut. Like I mean, yo, man, he's there, but he's not present.
Yeah.
Nah, like, bro, whatever gets it.
I gotta do better. I gotta do better.
He said,
It's just practice, bro. It's not game day, you know.
Oh, dude.
Right. He's talking about practice. Yeah. Julio's a game day guy. He shows up and like
Talk about the thing I love to do.
Yeah.
But I mean, he shows up. Credit to him. Like some people got to do the work. Other people, it's natural.
Yeah.
That's what we have Ramsey and Bridget for. I'm just here to be.
Hey, man.
It's team
We
dynamic.
carry the team. He just takes advantage of it.
How did y'all
I was
link
just about to
up?
ask, yeah.
What's up?
How did y'all link up?
I think so. We randomly met at. Well, he photobombed a picture of mine at a Bad Bunny concert.
Okay.
Julio activities.
Wow, that sounds like
I
a love
also
story.
saw
It's like a
Bad Bunny. How
rom-com.
crazy
That sounds like a
was
love
Yeah.
story
That was
for real.
crazy. That was crazy.
He said that.
That's definitely a rom-com.
This
Definitely a rom-com.
No, I swear, this was like what 2018.
2018. Yes.
We in LA. Let's submit the script. Like, what's
Yeah.
going on?
Right, it's a whole movie.
Hell yeah! So I photobombed and then like
I was taking pictures, like my cousin was taking pictures of me, and then I just see someone coming in there like, and I was
Eli in
like, can you
Times
get
Square.
away? And he's
That
like,
was a
"Nah."
bottle of it.
He was like, no, let's take it together. And I was like, all right, whatever. So then we take it, and like we did like a little boomerang, and I posted it on my Instagram.
Yeah.
Enjoyed the concert. Woke up the next day, and I just had like a bunch of people like, oh, that's the homie Julio. How do you know the homie Julio? Blah blah blah.
Okay.
Nah, he's
I was like, who is this man? And like, how does
That's
everybody know
Julio.
him?
This man.
Be outside a little bit.
And then, yeah, a mutual friend sent the picture, I think, to you, right?
One of my old college buddies, I played soccer with him.
Yeah.
We played in Arizona together. He transferred to
To UCR.
UCR with her. And then he was like, hey, how do you know her? She's like, I don't know her. Why?
Yeah, and it all goes back to soccer. Like
Yeah.
we just had the same group of mutual friends from soccer, and then a couple. And I was at that time I was working at the base with Ramsey, so we were working at a soccer facility with Urban
cool.
Pitch
Yeah, that's cool.
around that time. And
And Julio was already going there too. He
well, he hadn't gone.
He
His
hadn't
brother was going.
Oh, okay.
His brother was going, and then he pulled up to a game, to one of our pickup nights. And I looked, and I'm like, what are you doing here? Like, why are you here? And then he was like, I'm here. Like, what? I don't know. And then from there, we just kind of like kicked it off. Like, he would stick around after like pickup sessions were done, and like we would be cleaning up, and it just became a vibe.
I'll be partying, they'll be cleaning up.
He stuck around long enough, and all of a sudden, he was starting to like bartend our events,
Yeah.
like MC our events.
Yeah.
Like he just like finds his way to like get in the door. And
Yeah.
once,
I'm
once
out
he's
here.
in there, yeah.
He never wanted to leave, so we were like,
Yeah.
okay, make yourself useful.
I know. Right? Yeah.
That's crazy.
What's your specialty as a bartender?
Shots.
Hey, bro. The 2-for-1 special, one for you, one for you.
Yeah, yeah.
All of a sudden,
Okay, you were the bartender then.
He'll
You take the
never
shots
let
for
you
people.
drink alone.
Okay, I
Yeah.
respect
And then all of a sudden his eyes are facing different directions. And
Sunglasses are on after that.
Yo, Julio,
Other
having all
girls,
the inventory.
free shots.
Eyes facing different.
You could go through our episodes and count how many outros he's drunk, and
Oh my
I think he's.
So we'll do like different tailgate. We'll like interview people like,
Oh, yeah.
outside the stadium and whatnot. And then so like I'll go up to the press box and Julio will just like hang out with the people because that's what he does.
For sure.
And then by the time like one time, so LAFC. They got the stadium bar at the top, and that's right with his press boxes. So I'm walking down, and he's walking up, and I go, "Yo, Julio, where are you going?" He goes, "Oh, I'm going to Sunset."
I'm going to the bar.
I'm gonna keep partying.
And I go, "Yo, we got to do the outro." Like, what do you? He goes, "Bro, I'm not doing the outro." I go, "What do you mean?" He goes, "I can't do it. I can't do it." I go, like, he's wearing sunglasses, and it's like 10:30. So I lift his sunglasses, bro. I swear to God. One eye was this way, the other eye was that way.
Bro. Winger's going for the corner flag.
I'm doing the solo.
That was only the first tailgate experience. I've been in every single one after that.
Yeah, no. So
the last one, Bridget was driving.
The last one, Bridget said the next day. Bridget goes, "Yo, we didn't do the outro. Like, what are we gonna do?" Like, yeah, you were there. We did it.
I don't remember.
Nah, that's crazy.
Okay, to be fair, I had just came back from Mexico. It was a Rose Bowl game, LAFC, LA Galaxy. Like I was still on vacation mode.
Yeah.
You deserve it. You deserve
Hey,
it.
but I still made it. Clearly.
Nah, you did what you
Barely.
had to do.
I was there.
What did you say? We didn't execute.
I was like, oh my God, we didn't execute.
She's slurring her words and everything.
That's funny. That's funny.
But you know what? But I think that goes to say, right? Like our space, our podcast, your space, your podcast.
Yeah.
Like I think that what we see, what we don't see that we both have is that chemistry, that
100%,
organic like
100%.
conversation, like the casualness, but also like the vibes.
Yeah,
I 100% agree.
Yeah.
How did y'all get into soccer in the first place? It's kind of like a
You guys.
I grew up playing. And the license, I was a kid, and then got a soccer scholarship, kept going. But it's just my dad was a real big fan of the sports he put us in, and I've been hooked ever since.
Yeah, I think for me, I mean, same thing. I grew up playing soccer. My brother, I have an older brother who I looked up to, and he played soccer. I played soccer. He played basketball. I played basketball. And I think that goes back to like how we met. Like there was always a moment in our, like we've talked about it now, and we're like, oh, my brother tried out for Chivas USA. His brother was playing for Chivas USA. So it's just like we were meant to meet at some point.
They played together.
We were meant to meet.
Oh, I thought you said meant to be.
Nah, I heard that too.
Hey,
I heard that too. I heard that too. So he blushing. He blushing.
Y'all got it.
Hey, bro. Nah, come on.
They're gonna give me trouble.
Okay.
I'm gonna get a DM request. Hey, listen. First of all,
Hey, Bridget's got her own like people in her DM, so
Yeah, we
they're gonna start
we're
like.
working on the
yeah.
Bridget's Corner. So if y'all trying to do
Corner.
one-on-one, I got you.
I'm still single. What kind of
That's funny.
We're in what is it? A healing era.
Healing
for sure,
era.
for sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Need that.
Yeah, but what about you guys? Like,
That'd be
what brought
swelling.
you into soccer, into footy? What was
For
your
me,
connection?
so I'm actually half Spanish, and then in 2006, some of my family from Spain didn't just come to visit because they had come before, but very briefly. But my cousin, she was studying in London, and she came here to learn English better. So she stayed with us for like 3 or 4 months, and she actually brought her boyfriend, and they're both huge Real Madrid fans from Madrid. So that got me super immersed into the sport, super immersed obviously into Real Madrid. And then it was also a World Cup year, so I was watching USA, watching Spain, discovering all the players on Brazil, et cetera, et cetera. That's really what kicked it off for me. And then from there, just played my whole life, played through high school. Always got passionate about just watching all the different games, staying tapped in the women's side as well. So in the 2007 Women's World Cup, what I loved is that my dad showed me that World Cup the same way he showed me the 2006 one, and we just watched it and felt the same way. So I always grew up seeing both sides of the sport the same. And yeah, just loved it since then. Obviously met Josh, connected with him, and then we had the vision of how it needs to change in the U.S. from the media perspective, and here we are. So
Yes, sir.
Yeah, for me, it's I grew up in Haiti, so I've been living in this state since 2010. It was like this huge earthquake in Haiti back then, and so my whole family's moved over here. But growing up, like that's the main sport in Haiti. Like
Right.
everybody either plays or watches, and it's like there's this culture is divided between Argentina fan and Brazil fan. So in Haiti, you either love Argentina or Brazil, and it's
Oh,
very,
wow.
very intense over there. And like my family and most of my neighborhood were Brazil fans. Like my dad is a huge Ronaldo, like R9 fan. So that's why my middle name is Ronaldo.
Oh wow,
So
That's crazy.
I just grew up, around that, and I never really liked, I always liked playing, but I never had the attention span to sit down and watch full 90-minute matches. But then over time, like I grew a love and appreciation for like the small details in the game. And so the older I got, the more I started to actually like actively watch. And I connected with a lot of the Brazilian players who played for Barcelona. And so that's why I became a Barca fan. And so from there on, it just started, like my love for the game just grew and grew. And as I got into like making videos and my love for that grew, it just made sense to just intertwine the two. So yeah.
I'll say for me, going off the same kind of like energy, both my parents are Haitian. So just growing up in a Caribbean household, that was the main sport that was on TV. I have mad like baby photos of me with like soccer balls, because like from the jump, that's the only sport that like my parents would kind of like push me to play. So yeah, it was just like always in my life, and I enjoy it. I love it. It's giving me like a way to connect with people like this, people like y'all.
Facts.
And I always speak like the main thing that I love about the sport in general is just like how much of a connector it is. You can go anywhere in the world, meet anybody, and like you can strike up a conversation about that. Whereas like it's not really the same for basketball or football or other sports. So yeah.
No, 100%. I would say same football. Definitely a household thing, as you said. My dad, very passionate fan. One thing that I think really pushed it for me as well, he always told me that Ghana is kind of the Brazil of Africa in the sense of focusing on dribbling and style of play. And so that really drew me to the expression on the pitch around the 2006 time period with Yoga Benito, all those type of ads. Those are the type of things that really stood out to me. So playing the sport, we used to play together. So fun times there, getting to know people, and then especially starting wavy footy really pushed it into another level. So now football's always been a thing. It's a language, it's a religion in its own way, and it's exciting to see how it's changing in the U.S. So just trying to be a part of that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I mean, I think for me, it's the same with everyone. Like family, my parents, I'm half Cameroonian, half Italian, so like both my parents were super big into it. But yeah, I think just like based on what you said, based on what Kendrick said, like actually the other day I was having a discussion about whether or not like what's a bigger or easier connector? Is it football or is it religion, like in the world? So it's just something that like brings people together, has allowed me to make so many friends in my life, clearly. So yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and like sport, I feel like it's almost become like a cliche to compare sports to religion, and like all the they call like the San Siro, like all these major stadiums, like cathedrals of sport, like people, there's like rituals that people do that, aren't like written out, but they just know and it's passed down, there's like the word of mouth, like oral tradition, all that stuff. Yeah, exactly.
Maradona has a church in Argentina.
Yeah, like people are feigning at games, like
you got statues outside the stadium.
Yeah. So there's a lot of like parallels between like sport.
And sometimes it intertwines too. I don't know if y'all have ever watched the Sunderland Till I Die series on Netflix.
I heard it's really good.
And it's like people, like you have in Sunderland, you have priests like in church dressed in like have scarves of Sunderland like during the service. You have people who have their coffins made, in the colors of the team and things like that. So sometimes also like their religion just intertwines with the game, which just goes to show like religion is such a deep aspect of people's lives. So for a sport to be on that same level and sometimes even bigger is insane to me. So like I don't know anything else that takes up people's lives or like other than religion, other than football.
Yeah, for sure. It's a religion. Even the way it goes into politics sometimes, football is
all the time.
A big say. And sometimes for me, I think about why is that, and I think football, not the definition of football, but one of the biggest things that make it what it is the fact that it's a sport that is not only accessible to anybody, but brings joy to people all over the world, no matter what you have. We don't always see that in the U.S., sometimes whether it be due to financial reasons or even just infrastructure. But we had a whole episode where we talked about just like street football and how that's really like a big thing in other cultures. And I don't know, that's something about the game that really just sticks out to me.
Yeah, and then it's like life or death too, and like in other countries, like you don't see that even with like like American football or basketball or like the other main sports out here, but like when you talk to anybody, like any fan from another country or even players, like y'all had Austin Trusty and Zach Steffen, and they were talking about it too. Like it's like life or death. If that's the biggest difference between playing in MLS or in North America and going over to Europe. So like it's just really like, and then like I have family who lives in Europe too, and I was talking to them about it, and like they it's like this is like life. This is normal, you know.
Yeah.
It's normal to have this like diehard fandom. Like they take it to another level, especially when it comes to the sport. So I think just having that, and like you can strike up a conversation with anybody, like y'all were saying. Like, so it's just crazy how like intertwined it's become. And
and speaking about like just striking up a conversation, me and Kendrick were in DC. I think you were wearing a Chelsea jersey. This guy just walks up to you, starts talking about, oh, Drogba 2008, all that sort of stuff. Like it's an instant connector when you see somebody wearing it. Yeah.
And I think it's because in Europe they don't have other sports. Like we're kind of spoiled in the U.S. You can be a fan of like different sports, and so like whereas like everyone in your city knows everything about that city's team. So then, like, of course, if you play in another city, everyone in the other city knows about the other team. So, of course, it becomes life or death. Because, like,
it's like if LA put the Lakers, Dodgers, the MLS teams, the Rams into one thing. And that's, you know,
that's it.
That's it's like to that level sort of thing. So,
So the sport is growing in the U.S. I remember growing up, whoever played soccer is because your parents were immigrants. It was the immigrant sport. It was an immigrant sport. But nowadays, it's going to a point where I saw a meme on TikTok where there was a dad giving a basketball to his son, and then he hears about the $1 billion offer and Messi got, he like, nope.
I saw that.
So like it's growing in America.
Yeah.
And from what it was growing up, I was playing dirt fields. Now every field here is turf. The only thing that has to change is the parks have to allow the players to play.
Dude, they still have parks that say no soccer on them.
That's so crazy. What's the point of that?
Is there
Like,
really?
what's the reason?
Yeah.
Like,
you walk
what's
into
the reason?
the BMO Stadium, like right across from USC.
The Expo Center, the Expo space?
Right, there's like a park right out there, and then
it says no
literally
I've actually
like
never seen that before.
like
It literally says no soccer, and then you just see like a whole team practicing.
It'll be like 4 teams,
Yeah,
like 4 like
content
U teams
right there.
practicing.
That's how it should be. That's
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah.
You know,
Because you can play anywhere. Shout out Neighborhood Sports Club, but like you can
Yeah,
literally
right.
play anywhere. So I
Sure.
don't know why that'd be a problem.
Nah,
I mean, I think that's why, and shout out to LAFC, they're promoting, you know, trying to work on safe places to play, and like also trying to bridge that gap of like having to pay to play as well. So, and I'm sure that Galaxy's doing their thing with that as well. But you know,
I was about to say, 'cause
Maybe not.
I don't know.
hopefully.
nah, it's a.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, bro.
I was gonna say
So
on your topic, it was just a thought that came into my head because it's like, on one hand, it's like the game is growing in the U.S. and when you said like growing up, the only people who used to play soccer were like immigrants, that struck a chord because it's like on one hand that's true, and then on the other hand it's like nowadays a lot of the people you see playing soccer are just people with money or people who could afford to like be put in the academies. Like when you look at, I mean, when you just look at the development of like players and their path to like the pro, a lot of it is like you have to have money. If you can't pay to be on a club team, you can't pay to be in an academy, then like what are you gonna do? You know what I'm saying? So I don't know, it's interesting to see the game grow, but also see who has access to it. Like even the conversation we're having now about parks, like parks being like you can't play. We tried to go play. The first time we tried to go play with each other, we went to Pier 40.
Oh yeah, Brooklyn Bridge.
And it was like immediately we got kicked off.
Yeah,
because it was an academy that was had practice scheduled on that pitch. So now we're like, it's like 6 of us and we trying to play in this little corner, and we made it work. But it's like that shouldn't even have to be the thing.
Sure,
it was probably a pay-to-play academy.
That's the culture of the country kind of bleeding in. You know, a lot of capitalism, obviously. Yeah. And you know, like I said before, just accessibility. In other countries, you just put a bunch of socks together, you go out on the street, and you kick ball. It's interesting too, because Cali, there's a lot of you know, good players that have come from here, especially on the women's side. You know, so how have you guys seen that change over the years?
I think something that just thinking about it, like exactly to what you're saying, though, connecting it to the women's soccer. I think for me, growing up, wanting to play soccer, because a part of it was like I saw my brother, I was inspired by it, but between me and him, like I saw a clear path for him. The only thing was that he was undocumented. He was an immigrant, so he didn't have access to go play in an academy or to go play professionally because of his papers. I didn't see that direct line for me, being a female, being a woman, trying to play in the sport. But it was also just like another way of staying away from the streets and staying away from like getting involved in other ways. So it was like something I loved to do, but it also kept me busy. And then we were talking about this in one of our podcasts about how like Alyssa Thompson, for example, she grew up playing with men, like co-ed, and same here for me. And I just think that says a lot about how we're I think things are changing, but also the access for girls who want to play and want to go make it professionally.
Yeah,
like
that's true.
you have to do it with other guys.
At
You have to
some
be
point.
involved on the guy
At
side
some point,
to get
yeah.
the same experience, you know, to get the same training, to get the same like tactical skills. It's like you have to go that direction in order to have an opportunity to make it.
Is she from out here?
Yeah.
Yes.
Alyssa, yeah.
There's a lot from Cali.
Baller.
Yeah, she's
The
a baller.
World Cup right now.
No, she's incredible. And she's what, like 16, 17 right now?
She's like
Or
18.
I think she did
18,
train.
18.
Yeah. Like
At
she
the World
was
Cup.
leaving Angel City game early to go to prom, like all this
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
I remember thinking like
That's
when they
great.
first like they traded a bunch of players,
Yeah.
or they spent money to
get the pick,
to
right?
get the first
Yeah.
pick. And I remember thinking like, okay, like, you know, there's some hype around her, but she's 17 at the time. Like,
Yeah.
you know, how and then like literally the first game, like 12
Scored a
minutes in,
banger.
just an absolute banger. I go,
Oh,
okay,
Yeah.
baller.
like
Dude,
this
I
is
remember getting
banger.
chills because we were at the press box
Yeah.
at Angel City Stadium. She's a baller,
Bro,
man.
off the
That's
crossbar.
yeah, instantly
She's
like she
sick.
proved that she was the best player on the field.
Yeah,
and she's
literally.
Like, yeah, she
Her
can't.
first touch is what sets her apart
Yeah.
from other.
Okay.
Like,
Yeah.
when you see the women's game, in my perspective is usually they're tactically sound. Just their first touch sometimes it
A little off.
Yeah.
a little off, but she came in for. I told Ramsey like, first touch. I was like, oh, this person, she's the truth.
She can play.
Yeah.
That's her.
She knows
Like,
what she's doing.
They were doing it.
Yeah.
She turned around with the ball. The ball did not bump. It stayed on her feet and turned around. I'm like, oh yeah, she's her.
Yeah.
So
No, she's quick too, man.
Yeah.
She's fast.
Yeah.
Like,
Like,
like
actually-
physically, she's there, right there,
No, it's
and like
interesting.
And she's just getting started.
It's an encouraging time, you know,
Yeah.
to see Trinity Rodman, Sophia
Yeah.
Smith. You know, good luck to these girls at the
Yeah.
World
I
Cup.
was about to
I
say,
know,
like,
I mean, not just that, but they're also
How y'all-
representing, right?
Yeah.
Like,
How y'all think they look? How y'all think they look?
so. I think I mean we were watching.
You laughed at
Obviously.
We were just having
We
this
were just
conversation.
talking
We were
about
literally
this.
just
We were
talking,
just
talking
talking
about
about
this. But we were watching the game at SoFi
What
because
time are games for you?
so they play I think tomorrow at midnight.
For us,
it's-
well, we mean
So it'll be
Mexico.
Tuesday.
yeah. So it'll be 3 for y'all. But
Yeah.
I mean, it's still like the first couple games were like during the day, so like it wasn't like we didn't have to like stay up to watch them. But
Yeah.
I think it's clear that like the gap has closed, and you even saw it in the 2019 World Cup, like in the knockout stages. They were, you know, like Alyssa Nair doesn't say that penalty against England. Like who knows what happens, you know? So I think the gap is closed. I think, I mean, on paper, like you look at the roster, like that's a lot of talent.
Still the best team. but
And
it's
we're
tight.
not making subs. We're not doing it. Like, you know, like to me, that was wild. Like
One sub is crazy.
one
And
sub.
late too, like-
in a game where you needed like some kind of spark. Like there was stuff going on that was like positive. We just needed like an extra push.
Yeah.
And you got, you know, Lynn Williams, Alyssa, like all these like just like extremely talented, like creative, like players on the bench. Like Ashley Sanchez, like I don't know, man. Like I would like to see like more rotation on the
Yeah.
team because I think there's a lot of talent. But you know, Netherlands are nice too. They're good.
That's
like,
like
that's
recap of the final last time.
yeah,
so
like that's a
rematch,
like
yeah.
that's a top team. So like
Yeah.
at first I was worried, but then I was like, you know, it's early. Like we got time, but
It's
I don't
also
know.
a good thing that the gap is closing.
Yeah, exactly. It's not like a sure thing when they take the
Yeah,
field.
for
It's
sure.
not like we need to win.
Teams are catching up because I
Yeah.
said I'm half Spanish, so I obviously support both national
Spain
teams.
is-
Spain's
Yeah.
men, you know, I saw
Yeah.
them win the World Cup. Euros incredible, but the women now, they
Yeah.
are on smoke.
Yeah.
I think they just beat Zambia 5-0.
Yeah.
Nah, so like I've seen a lot of those kind of countries traditionally. Men's team be that successful, the women's team has super caught up. So
yeah,
it's really good to see.
And we talked about this too, but like the increase of like the women's game in Europe,
Yeah.
like the infrastructure that they're
it's
getting,
really
like
good.
Barcelona is like turning out like legit players. Like they have like I think Spain's team is like I don't know like 70%.
Well, that's okay. I'm a Madrid fan, but if it helps the Spanish national team,
I'll take country
She's
first,
Barcelona.
right?
I'll take it. Country first. Yeah.
I go from Madrid. She goes from Barcelona. So
Oh, okay.
we feel
Yeah.
it.
yeah, Barca, yeah, ride or die. There you
Hey,
go.
proper
There it is.
guy,
I gotta switch seats with somebody. What's going on? Like,
Proper guy. What's your team, Ramsey?
And so I'm Arsenal. I go for Arsenal.
That's
and
tough, bro.
As he's
Yeah.
wearing AC Milan.
I mean that's who I'm at. I mean La Liga. If I had to, I don't like. I'm newer, so I'm newer to. I didn't have to get the chance to give my background. So I'm a little bit newer to the game. I grew up playing baseball. Played in college, and soccer was just kind of on the periphery for me.
Yeah,
like
yeah,
I watched the World Cup. I
That's
watched
cool,
Euros.
though,
Like,
yeah.
but I was never like I was never like a
Grew
diehard
up with
fan
it.
of
Yeah.
like growing up. And then I actually came across Urban Pitch after I graduated, and I was looking for places to write. I was looking for places to just anywhere where I could, because that was what I wanted to do.
For sure.
And I saw that the culture surrounding the game was way different than even basketball or any other, like where you got music, you got art, you got fashion, you got everything connected to the game.
Facts.
That's what we love. Yeah.
And to me, like I was interested in all that. I'm like, you know, music was my thing, like, you know, and I didn't really see how that related growing up because like I was just not paying attention to it. And then so from there I was doing more cultural stories for them, and then all of a sudden I was watching more soccer, and I was like, yo, like I can't believe I was out on this for 22 years, you know what I mean? Like
once you're in though.
Yeah, and so now, like, you know, like I'm fully into it. So I lean more towards Barcelona because the women's side is like to me, like they're just the most fun team to watch.
They won 50 something straight games.
Yeah, I mean that's crazy. That winning streak they went
season and a half.
Yeah,
basically.
That's crazy.
And so that's pretty much like where I'm at in terms of all that. So I need to just pick. I love just watching games, but I need
he's
to
very
like
indecisive.
just,
With any soccer
LA
team.
Galaxy, LAFC.
I'm in the
you
middle.
like both?
No,
I don't like both. I just have to stay neutral for. You know.
What is that rivalry like? Because now we've actually been in both their stadiums. First off, we're fresh off the plane. And we're in Carson, California, realizing the Galaxy are not really an LA team.
Hey, I've been
is that
guys?
Is that like the conversation around?
No, so that's
because that's what I've been hearing.
Right. So Carson technically is part of LA. Carson's its own like.
It's within the LA County, but
yeah, but Carson is its own like incorporated city, in the same way Inglewood is, in the same way Santa Monica is, in the same way Pasadena is, but
it is LA.
It is.
It's within LA County.
LA County, but it's its own city inside of LA County, so it's a little bit different.
I got you.
Whereas LAFC is in the heart of LA.
Yeah, but you take a look at the Rams. The Rams play in Inglewood. You don't say the Rams are Inglewood. They're not LA.
But
you know what I
Inglewood
mean?
is in LA.
Huh? Inglewood is not LA.
I said
Inglewood's not
LA.
Inglewood is its own city, the same way Carson is.
I mean, but Carson's a little far.
Inglewood, I'll say this: Inglewood culturally brands itself as LA
That
from like
part.
movies like The Wood, rappers from out there.
Exactly, but it's the same thing with Carson too.
Interesting.
Like Absol's from Carson.
I know what you're
Absol's
saying.
You know,
Yeah.
so
Interesting.
because it's an LAFC way of saying they're not really from LA, they're from Carson, which is good. It's good banter.
It is,
you know. But if you're really gonna be talking about what's like factually correct,
then
and not making up like
always with us.
There are relationships with
You're not gonna.
What is that rivalry? Like, how has it been in the city? It seems like it's been getting pretty intense.
It's pretty intense.
Yeah,
It's real.
This guy was getting
All right,
threatened.
so first episode.
He became a
I
whole
believe
meme.
it.
No,
You became a meme?
Yeah, homie. First episode.
Galaxy meme. He was a
Galaxy, like, in the Galaxy, like the Galaxy fans don't
I
really
might
like
have
me.
seen it.
He said one thing and then
I called them Cal State Dominguez Hills alumni because
That's
they're
where
in
they
the
practice.
campus. So like, all right, that team is they call them alumni, and they were pissed. Had a whole meme about me. He went to go do a fan experience at the game. Guy was like going off.
Hold on.
like really trying to fight.
Yeah, I'm like,
we were interviewing one fan, and all of a sudden, people were like pointing at him.
Oh, it's like that.
And they were like kind of coming up, and like all of a sudden they're starting to. And
Wow.
I'm talking to the dude, and I just see Julio just going like this. Looking at Roy. Roy's behind the camera.
I don't know what this guy's gonna do, so I'm looking at his hands like, if he starts swinging, I'm swinging.
On camera.
On camera.
That episode surprisingly didn't air.
Yeah.
So, we had to get out of there kind of quick.
Wow.
But, I mean, I feel like at first, especially like 2018 when LAFC first came, it was kind of like. It was very like there was a lot of animosity between fan groups.
We had an event at the facility we worked at. That was a part of Urban Pitch, and I remember we were gonna have LAFC. We had like it was like a 7-week league.
Yes, and LAFC and LA Galaxy both had teams in
from
that
their
league.
front office.
So the front office, and they got like a couple ringers to play. So it was
Yeah.
LAFC versus LA Galaxy, and they invited the fans.
And obviously LA Galaxy has more history, so they had a few of their like old legends come play for that exact team. And I remember talking to John, and I was like, we don't have security, like we're not gonna have separate. And he's like, no, like we got 2 people, we're good. And I'm like, maybe we should have like, I was like, we should have fences or something. Like I was working.
That's definitely enough.
Yeah, no, I was working the front. Ramsey was like manning like the whole thing, so I was like, we're not gonna be able to man down anybody if this goes off. Anyway,
it was going to go off.
It was like there was
no
no
matter
way.
what. There was no. They had like a fence separating them, but it was just like
I don't
they were
think
in each other's faces.
They they each had their own supporter group in the space. Like mind you, it's not even that big. but they were just starting to like chant for each other. The game was going, but no one was watching the game. They were watching the supporters, and then next thing you know,
one guy threw one, and we had free alcohol there, which also just like another
just
thing.
made things worse.
Free alcohol is good in certain situations.
That's what I'm saying.
that.
I was like, we should have fenced it down. Nope. Then you just see something go off, and then
all of a
see
sudden
everybody mad.
Samoans tried.
They had the drums.
I got a story for that
They
too.
brought the drums in. I saw drum kits being thrown.
Yeah,
like, it was
crazy.
chaos.
So,
I have
Similar.
I have
happened at
so
the New York Derby.
for East Coast version, New York version. So I went to the New York Derby. So it was New York City FC versus Red Bulls. I used to live in Harlem, so we'd go to the games in Yankee Stadium right there. Take the 4 train.
Does it have a name yet?
What's up?
Does it have a name yet on New York Derby?
I think it's just a New York
does.
Derby. Oh, the Hudson River Derby or something like that?
Hudson River. Yeah.
Okay, we need to come up with a better one.
First of
Yeah.
all,
Which is literally New York and New Jersey. It's not
Yeah,
really New
'cause
York
New York
Derby.
Red Bulls
Yeah, the Red
don't
Bulls
play
play in
in New
Harrison, New
York.
Jersey.
Right, yeah.
Shout out Harrison because Josh lives there, but it is Jersey.
I don't know nowhere.
But essentially,
Gay, bro.
what? No, I'm saying I only go to Harrison for
We're
you.
gonna cut the
Actually,
location out.
It's like LA the
Oh,
best.
my
He's
bad.
saying, he's saying I go to a lot of games. That's what he's trying to say. I
For
go to a lot of
sure.
Red Bull games.
Yeah,
That's
might
what
as
he's
well.
trying to
It came off a little bit
Oh,
different.
no, I go to Harrison for Josh, definitely. But
Like we would
I'ma
go to the
say it
Valley
again.
for Ramsey.
I'm gonna say one more. Not playing. So, and the way it is, it's like under the train tracks itself, and I just see a bunch of people with black masks run out, or like bandanas covering, but like
yeah,
they're
yeah.
trying to be, secretive. So I'm thinking these are definitely the Red Bulls fans. And then over here is a bunch of bars and stuff for the New York City FC fans. New York City FC fan calls them over because they're like about to get on the train. He starts taunting them. A group of like 10 of them walk over. It's just 1 versus 10. He just decks one dude, knocked out. Another one decks that dude. Then the New York City fans run in. Everybody's fighting. And you were talking about things being thrown. I saw a pigeon get thrown. It was even in the video. A pigeon was thrown. It was most New York shit ever. It was crazy. It was so serious. Like they really be fighting. It was nuts. It was nuts. Yeah, a pigeon.
Poor pigeon.
Poor pigeon.
Like you just see a pigeon.
Oh,
no, it's crazy.
That's like that
Crazy.
one.
Did it fly?
Yeah, stuff.
That's
Definitely.
Nah,
Yeah.
it's serious rivalry. man.
Yeah. But the LA Derby has mellowed out a little bit.
It
Like,
has.
we were at the Rose Bowl. There's always gonna be stuff that goes down.
But I feel
Yeah.
like the Rose Bowl, that was like an experience for LA as a whole. Like I remember FIFA commented like LA
She's saying that because
won.
LAFC lost.
No, I'm not saying that. Just I mean, we took the L, whatever. But it was just like to have a game like that at such like a historic place in LA. Like I think that was just a win for LA in general, and
sure.
the fact that both sides were mellow and they kept it calm. Like I think that says a lot.
Yeah.
Because usually, like they are at each other's throats. I've seen Galaxy fans go to the LAFC stadium and like supporters be like, take that jersey off, take the jersey off. And I'm like,
okay.
don't listen to them.
Yeah.
Like, it gets crazy. It gets crazy.
It does, but I feel like we it's nice to have in LA, and like
Yeah.
I appreciate the rivalry. Like as far as long as it doesn't go past just like
violence.
what it
Yeah.
is. Yeah. Like let's have it. Like let's.
I was gonna
enjoy it.
ask, do you guys think that the animosity helps or hurts MLS culture? Because
so
in every
interesting. It
helps,
other
unfortunately.
league around the world, it seems like it helps to intensify it and makes
Right.
it even more potent.
Yeah, they're putting like the Boca and River Plate, the
Yeah.
Copa Libertadores final in like Spain
Yeah.
because they couldn't have it in Buenos
Yeah,
Aires.
yeah.
Like,
Crazy.
I don't know. There's a line for sure, and it's cool that like we're getting to a point now where like people are like fighting over it, like physically, but like I'm like, you know what I mean?
We
Like,
don't want nobody to get hurt.
right, like it's like there's like pros and cons to it because like you want there to be emotional investment in there, and it's a good sign, but like also it's just never a good look when you go to a game like looking to fight, or like people in like supporters groups that they think that they're like in something bigger than what like
what it
you
is,
know what I
yeah.
mean, like Cousin Feo, who's a music artist that is a big Galaxy fan. He said like if you want to join a gang. If you want to like, you know what I mean, like
Be a supporter,
don't become like a ultra or supporter if you're trying to be like a gang like rep for the set or whatever, you know what I mean, like there's for sure a line, but it's cool that the game is getting to the point where like people are so like invested into it that they're willing to kind of fight for the team. But I mean,
Go ahead.
I mean, it's just like there's just a line to cross. So it's good, but also like you never want to see violence.
I remember going to Carson's LAFC Galaxy game literally walking in, a guy walks in with a LAFC jersey, 2 guys just on site start fighting. I'm like, oh, and like I'm like, man,
It's crazy.
and I'm like.
In my day, we're in UCLA. My auntie went here. My fault. Like, is USC gonna jump me? Damn.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
No other sport is like, cause
No other sport, yeah.
like.
What about Lakers Clippers?
Lakers Clippers is
The
like
distance is too big.
I think
Yeah.
so. I think so. If like even
but
when
the
the
Clippers
Clippers
suck
were
all
good,
the time.
Facts,
even when
yeah.
the Clippers were good and the Lakers were bad, like the Clippers never won a championship.
So it don't
matter.
And so like LAFC, to their credit, won it. So they have like something that
brag
actually
about.
you know
Yeah.
like there's substance behind all the hype.
And the game's a vibe.
Yeah.
Like, if I
Yeah,
go-
y'all have to come out for an LAFC
No, we need to
game.
come back, and we got to catch Angel City FC too.
And
Yeah,
Angel
yeah,
City.
yeah.
Yeah, because Angel City has
Its own
its own
yeah.
environment, its own vibe, but it like meets like it's up there with the LAFC.
That's good to hear.
Yeah,
As it
it's up there
should,
with
man.
the
Yeah.
As it should. There's other San Diego Wave.
Yeah, Cali, y'all about to have Bay FC out here too in terms of California
Big.
women's
Yeah.
soccer. So,
Yeah.
and that's all within what the last 2-3 years
Yeah.
in total
Yeah.
once Bay
Yeah.
comes. So,
Yeah.
how's that been for California to get all these teams?
Bro, like the Wave especially, like I was surprised because they were playing at USD, which is like a 5,000 capacity stadium, and then they opened Snapdragon, where they're currently at, which I think is like close to 30,000 capacity, which is a little bit bigger than BMO. So when they were selling out that stadium, that was crazy, like
That's
crazy to me, because to go from a 5,000 seat stadium to a big stadium, like the first thing you want is like to make sure of is that we're gonna have enough people to fill out. And
Right.
they've been doing it, to their credit.
That's awesome. That's so
I
dope.
actually had a chance to go to the San Diego Angel City game, and like their stadium is weird. Like the atmosphere is
Yeah.
way different than BMO, but it's packed. It's like, to their credit, like they have
Yeah.
They get
they might need
people.
to work on the atmosphere a little bit more, and that's just with the stadium. But
Yeah.
like it was
It's
just really
dope
cool
to
to see
see.
at that point.
That's
Yeah,
dope.
it's dope to see the women's sports growing and like being given the credit that it deserves, and allowing it to become a normalized, you know, to be a fan, to be a player, to be well known, to be a famous women's soccer player. So when we went to the Angel City the inauguration game, like I literally was at the stadium. I had the chills like for like the majority of the game, because it was like, for me, that was the first time I ever saw a women pro soccer team and a women pro game. And it was also just like the supporter section for Angel City FC was going crazy, and it's just like you don't really see that. And like for me, you know, growing up, I wish I had that, you know, and like to know that this is existing for the kids and the young, you know, girls that want to grow up playing pro, like they have that here in LA. Like it's a beautiful thing.
That's dope.
Yeah.
That's great to hear.
Yeah, we're actually running out of time here, so
Yeah.
I had to cut this out because I mean we could be here for another hour,
Oh,
but
nah, for
I know
sure.
y'all been outside. Like we like to
Yeah.
think that we're outside. You guys, I mean,
been-
Atlanta, Miami.
they've been holding down the
Guadalajara
vibes.
next. I mean,
Yeah.
it's crazy. So
Yeah.
we'll let y'all go from here, but I mean, once again, thank y'all for coming out. I mean, we've been in talks with you guys for I don't know, like since we pretty much started up like
Yeah.
a year and a half ago.
Definitely.
And
And
so-
shout out even 2021 when we had
Did
that
the
first
article.
article. where we
Yeah,
did
y'all
footy.
y'all did the fashion.
high fashion
That's
Yeah,
what I
class.
was
yeah,
to say.
yeah.
So, you know, definitely
Years in the
appreciate y'all for that. And, you
If I
know,
can ask y'all one last question before we go.
Go ahead.
What is the dream for you guys? Like, how far do you guys want to take this? What's the plan?
Great question.
Good question. That's a good question. I mean, I just want to keep doing this, man. Like, keep growing, and like, I always think about like what like the ultimate vision, the ultimate goal is, and how to like execute day by day to get to that ultimate goal. And that to me is just like, we've had a couple of other guys like us, like not like quote unquote experts or like the stuffy, you know, white
Yeah,
collar,
facts.
like Taylor
Facts.
Tolman type dudes who
That guy.
Alexi
Dead
Lawless,
ass,
you know.
bro.
Yeah, Taylor Tolman cut him in line for brownies.
He went to the press box.
And so,
Some
I
brownies,
went to-
come in line like, get out of here.
I got smoke for him too. I went to the U.S. men's national team roster review for the World Cup. His fit was crazy. It was terrible. Bro. Taylor will help you out though.
the old
Just hit us up. It was
Pull
bad.
up, they got
Pull
you.
up, we'll help you out. But it was bad. It was bad.
But I mean, like for like podcasts, or I don't know, like even what you want to call it, like content creators.
Yeah.
I don't like that word. Is just kind of like has a stigma
kinda
to
corny,
it. But
yeah.
like for that to become the go-to, like, you know what I mean, like the go-to for wherever, because to me that's more interesting. It's you know, like it's not as objective, it's not as stale, it's not as boring, you know. So like when I listen to other soccer podcasts, it's like, yo, this is good, it's informative, but to me, like I'm like checking out. I'm trying to like, I'm
trying
trying
to feel
to
the
scroll on my
vibes.
phone, you know. Like, so, but when I check out stuff like y'all, like, you know, we had Gio from LA Soccer Hub, like guys like that. Like to me, that's more, I don't know, like authentic or whatever the word you want to use, but to me, natural. Yeah, that's it right there. So to me, I think that's like the ultimate goal, to where this becomes like, you know, the standard. You know?
And I think that's a great question, but I would say, like, what about you guys? Like, what's the goal for you all for 5ASIDE?
Turning the tables.
Because they're, you know, they're the special guests.
I know they've been asking us.
I know.
We asked the question.
Little did you know.
Hostile
takeover, right?
It's a fact.
Urban pitch.
Nah, man.
Once it start.
There's a lot. I mean, at the end of the day, bringing everything into life, I think, was the first thing, you know, from all our brands coming together, being able to have this platform and verbalize some of the stuff that you see us post. You know, it's been fun to have these events.
Yeah.
I think that's one of the things in terms of what we're trying to continue to do. And so we started doing was bringing it to life that way. What would y'all say?
I'll say, of course, one of the biggest objectives is always to scale and just to get this as big as it can be, whether it's directly with the podcast itself or whatever extension the 5ASIDE, you know, we end up building. But overall, I think it's also like building something that means something. Like I think that, like I always reference, like the 90s is like an era that people can never let go of. You know, people are always going back to that because, you know, for different reasons, whether that's fashion or, you know, music and different reasons, people always are going back to that. And I think that that's something that we're kind of building right now. There's like an era that you guys are also a part of just, you know, soccer in the US and in North America or overall just outside of Europe that means something and that's, you know, established within the global game. And I think that should be respected and that should be, you know, celebrated. And, you know, simultaneously the women's game is growing. And so I think it's just being a part of that movement and, you know, stamping that and kind of like a renaissance and something that, you know, that era is going to be remembered forever if, you know, we continue to push forward, if we continue to, you know, do these collaborations. And, you know, before we even get out, like that's something I wanted to emphasize and thank you guys for, you know, making this happen because 100%. In so many different industries, people always want to compete and never want to link up, never want to collaborate. And little do they know that this is what helps the overall space continue to grow. And if you really care about the space that you're in, you're going to want, you know, your number one objective is going to be whatever helps that grow. So, yeah, I think overall getting that respect and showing that outside of Europe, like we got something going on and it's dope and we can work together and continue to grow that.
Yeah, I think that's a mic drop right there.
Roy gonna get mad. Expensive mics.
Don't actually drop it, but metaphorical mic drop. But once again, y'all, thank you so much.
Thank you for having us. This is our first podcast collaboration, actually. It's our first one,
Anyone, other content, soccer people who are watching this is what we all should be doing.
That part.
For real.
Yes.
For sure.
Over this, for sure.
Yeah, but this has been the Urban Pitch Podcast, a beautiful game of life, part of the Believe Network. For Julio Monteros with Bridget Flores and the 5ASIDE Podcast, here's Gabe, Elisha, Kendrick, Josh, Sebastian, I'm Ramsey, Mushala. We'll catch y'all next time. This has been a blast. It's been good.
Sure.
More to come.
So much, man. Appreciate
First of many.
We'll be back, LA. We'll be back.
That part.